Alright, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Push for Relevancy, our Coastal Zone Championship Wrestling save here on the channel. We are in our welcome to the Coastal Zone 2022 era. We're building to the next pay-per-view, which is Surf Slam. We got another normal block of recordings here, aka two batches of tapings with two coast to coast each in them, and this of course being the first one. We will have 19 and 20, coast to coast number 19 and 20 in this episode, 21 and 22 in the next episode, and then Surf Slam. But yeah, in between the pay-per-view and this episode, not much has gone down, except I have pre-booked a main event for this edition of Coast to Coast. We will see our boys, the greatest team for us right now, and one of, if not the greatest team in CZCW history, going coastal, teaming up once again to take on this new team that we have of El Jaguar and Luis Montero Jr. They're a more individuals-esque tag team. They're not a full, they're solo guys that are teaming up right now. I feel like both of them are a little directionless for us right now, so I thought might as well team them up, if it's on a temporary basis or not. And what better way to see how good they are than to put them against the greatest team that we have. Yeah, honestly, not much else to get into. Nothing really happened. So let's get into this first edition of Coast to Coast. Alright, so we kick things off with the Apex Twins versus the Coastal Kings. They do have an official name now. I will show you the full picture later because I do have a second stable logo to show you. But yeah, we kick off this first edition of Coast to Coast in this episode with the team of Fox Mask 2 and Mask Cougar getting the victory against the Apex Twins in 12 minutes and 2 seconds when Fox Mask 2 got the pinfall victory over Gave Apex. This was a good fun opener. 52, Mask Cougar had a great performance. Everyone else did mid because they're young. But yeah, good way to kick off the show. And after that, we have Fox Mask join the ring with his two proteges. I don't know if Mask Cougar would count as a protege, but you know what I mean. His two colleagues, and he officially introduces themselves as the Coastal Kings. They are here to preserve the history of CZCW, essentially just everything that Fox Mask has been fighting for since he showed up in this save. And just kind of officially giving them a name in branding for the live audience. And he calls Mask Cougar, he says that Mask Cougar at the beginning of the year, he got a match for the CZCW World Championship and he came up short. But a lot has changed since January, and now that Mask Cougar is underseen by Fox Mask, he has earned a rematch for the world title. After beating American Flash at the pay-per-view, he has earned a rematch for the world title, but American Flash comes out and he says, this is complete bullshit. You guys cheated in that victory against me. That victory meant absolutely fucking nothing. Yeah, you got the win, but if that's your, if that's your plea for the world title, then that's absolutely pathetic. And Fox Mask sends his young protege, Fox Mask 2, to shut him up with his fists. And as Fox Mask 2 goes running up the ramp, he is cut off by Tony DeWonderful, who lays him out with a clothesline. American Flash and Mask Cougar then charge the ring, but Fox Mask and Mask Cougar retreat very quickly after that. So yeah, Fox Mask is now turning his attention to the world title, but will American Flash even allow the Coastal Kings to get that world title shot in a 42 rated segment? Our next match is Frankie Perez versus Swipe Romero, because this was fun, I guess. Goes only 9 minutes and 43 seconds when Frankie Perez defeats Swipe in with the P-Clutch. And essentially, we have a third person calling their shot for the world title. Frankie Perez kind of echoes what American Flash was saying when he was like, look, yeah, if Mask Cougar feels like he's earned a world title shot, and American Flash, I guess, is also putting himself in that victory, then how come the guy that actually got a legitimate singles victory at the pay-per-view isn't getting in this conversation? If anybody deserves a world title rematch, it's me. I took out Zel Quinn against all the odds. He had two guys backing him up. I only had my brother with a broken fucking arm. If anybody's getting a world title shot, I'm making sure I'm getting it before those two. So essentially, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to emphasize that right now, in the fallout of Welcome to the Coastal Zone, there is this kind of vacuum in the world title scene. Nobody's really properly earned a world title shot, and just a bunch of our top names all feel that they have earned and deserve to be in that spot. So a 62 rated promo by Frankie Perez, and then we cut to the back where we have another person saying that they deserve a shot at the world title, and it's Seth Whitehead. Seth Whitehead, he's cutting a promo from the back, and he says essentially like, what does he say? He's like, I'll admit, I underestimated Frankie boy. He beat me. He gave me my first loss in CZCW. But that doesn't mean anything. I got ahead of myself. Frankie boy didn't beat me. I lost. He didn't win. I lost. Alright? That match at Welcome to the Coastal Zone meant absolutely nothing. I still have by far the best win-loss record in CZCW this year. Nobody has been able to touch me except him. So when I get a rematch at Surf Slam, he's not going to be able to beat me that time. 52 for that promo. With how much I stuttered, I'm surprised they gave it a 52. Fucking Jesus. And we cut to the back where we see Joanna Silver and Hugh Day-Ask. They're talking in their locker room. They're just talking to each other. You know, boyfriend and girlfriend stuff. When the camera zooms out and we see Heartbreaker. He sees a new woman in CZCW. She wasn't at ringside for the Lumberjack match, so it's likely Joanna Silver has not met Heartbreaker yet. And Heartbreaker has not met Joanna Silver yet. And he is seen just kind of watching Joanna Silver and Hugh Day-Ask from the window of their locker room. And maybe it's a really bad idea that this locker room has a window, but it's not our venue. I didn't design it. But once Heartbreaker realizes there's a camera on him, he scurries away and he runs away. And yeah, Heartbreaker's just kind of back at it again, guys. He's just continuously being a fucking weirdo. 47 for this stalking segment. We then have Onslaught, Eureka LaBelle, and Zel Quinn winning a trios match against Komodo Dragon and Aviation. These two men have helped Zel Quinn in the past couple shows, and as you can see, they are their own stable, and they call themselves the Q Crew. It's gimmicky, yes. It looks stupid, yes. That is the point. They're a gimmicky and dorky group, and the whole point is to service Zel Quinn. So Zel Quinn announces that these two guys that he's teaming with, they're a team full-time now as well. They're two guys that were underutilized, that were not properly seen by the people that need to be seeing them, and they are going to embrace this and call themselves Wasted Potential. That is their team name. And they see the light, and that light is me. They understand the value that I will bring to CZCW and by proxy to them. More eyes on me equals more eyes on CZCW equals more eyes on them. And they've spent the past years in CZCW overlooked and overshadowed by has-beens and nobodies and stupid faces, and that's not happening anymore. You see? They are going to get a World Tag Team title shot. I promise you that. I will do everything in my power. They helped me out. I'll help them out. Wasted Potential, mark my words, will win the tag team titles before long. But I need to win some gold myself. And after I embarrassed the Perez brothers in the past couple weeks, yeah, Frankie Perez beat me. It didn't count. If you really think about it, it didn't count. But I'm not worried about Frankie. I'm especially not worried about Johnny. He can't even jack off on his own. I fucked up his arm that bad. But yeah, Johnny Perez comes out with one arm. He comes out and he has a bat in his hand and he chases off the Q Crew because they're a bunch of shit-eating heels, I guess. Well, I don't remember what the term is, but he chases them off. And he gets a microphone and he says that once his arm is healed, he will get his match against Zel Quinn, and it will be fucking beautiful, pretty revenge. Or whatever. I'm fucking striking out on my metaphors today. But this segment was horrible. 36. After that, we got a promo from Going Coastal, where it's just essentially them hitting the refresh button on their feuds. California Love Machine's done with Heartbreaker. Frankie Boy is, he's not, we don't know if he's done with Seth Whitehead, but we don't know who he's feuding with. And essentially they reunited on a part-time basis. and they want to go back on after their little brief period where they were off on their on-again, off-again partnership. And tonight, as we know, they're main eventing against El Jaguar and Luis Montero Jr., so they say that tonight they're going to restart their shit and just win tonight, pretty much. In our semi-main, we see Snapdragon Jr. versus Tigre Salvaje Jr., the new Extreme Champion, Tigre Salvaje Jr., beating Snapdragon Jr. by in 8 minutes and 12 seconds with the Salvaje Suplex. I put a bit of a gamble creative finish on it. I thought, fuck it, why not? It was a failure. I stand by it. It was worth the risk. But our new Extreme Champion gets the victory here when Carlos Barrera comes out and Carlos says, Tigre, you were the better man last night. You beat me. You earned that championship. However, I'm using my rematch clause at Surf Slam. This will be one of the shortest title reigns in CZCW history. Now that I know you, now that I know how you wrestle, I will be getting my Extreme Championship back. So hold on to it while you can, Tigre. I respect you as a competitor, but you will respect me like no man has ever respected anyone else before after I get my title back. What does that mean, 64? Never mind. But speaking of pre-bookings, we have an announcement. A number one contenders match for the Tag Team Championships will happen next week. A three-way tag team match, a 2 versus 2 versus 2, Gangster Nation versus the California Dreams versus Wasted Potential. So Zel Quinn, I don't know if he actually politicked hard or anything, but they're in a number one contenders match. So yeah, this is happening on the next show, on the next taping in this episode. So yeah, but right before our main event, we get a promo from Sean McFly in his office, where essentially he addresses the vacuum, the elephant in the room being the vacuum of contenders for the CZCW Championship, and he says that he does not have a plan right now. No, he feels that nobody has truly earned a world title match for Surf Slam, so he won't make an announcement official, but on next show, he promises to open the show with an announcement in regards to what will happen on Surf Slam. So, there we go. We're going to know what's going on with the world title on the next show. But in our main event, it's a fucking banger, 81 rated match, as Going Coastal do get the victory over El Jaguar and Luis Montero Jr. El Jaguar and Luis had a chance to really establish themselves in the tag team division. They were not able to do it. In their defense, they were going up against probably one of, if not the greatest teams in CZCW history, when after 19 minutes and 38 seconds, Frankie Boy Fernandez hits the dirt nap on Luis Montero Jr. to get the victory. 89 rated performance by Frankie Boy, 71 by CLM. Just overall great from both men. But even though nobody in Coastal Zone has earned a world title match, Aldis Black Frere from IPW has come out. He has made his CZCW debut, and it's announced that on IPW, Aldis Black Frere had won a number one contenders match for the COTT World Championship. So whether or not Frankie Boy is defending his world title, his Coastal Zone world title at the pay-per-view, we know he will be defending his COTT World Championship against the current IPW champion, Aldis Black Frere. I'm excited to use Aldis. I have done a talent trade with IPW. We're going to have him for every single show in the build to Surf Slam. He's very fucking good. He's a great promo, so I'm excited to give him a test run. He might be one of the few people I have an internal, it's not an official rule, but for role-playing purposes, I don't like to sign people that are working for other cop promotions full-time. Just as a role-playing thing, I like to do the talent trades. Aldis Black Frere might be an exception to the rule later on in this save, because he is very fucking good. But that's how we end the show, a 77 on this edition of Coast to Coast, episode number 19. Really good stuff. My promo game was dog shit, so hopefully I can do better on the next episode. Alright, as promised, kicking off episode 20, edition number 20 of CZCW's Coast to Coast is Sean McFly with his announcement on what will happen in regards to the world title. And Sean McFly announces that in his and the rest of management's eyes, nobody on the roster has properly earned, has made a solid case for the World Championship, so nobody will be getting a World Championship match at the pay-per-view. And since Frankie Boy is already wrestling Aldis Blackfair, that made his decision even easier. But instead, main eventing the pay-per-view will be a fatal 4-way number 1 contenders match, where the winner of that match will then go on to Battle on the Beach, our following pay-per-view, to take on Frankie Boy Fernandez for the world title. And everyone's like, okay, great, we know the main event, so who's in the matches? And Sean McFly says the only issue is, since we feel like nobody has properly earned a world title match, the participants have yet to be determined. I will determine the 4 participants in that match during the show. At the end of the show, I will make an announcement, but until then, my door is open. So whatever that means, his door is open. Anybody is free to go into his office and I guess make their case for the world title match, or number 1 contenders match. But we kick off with a different number 1 contenders match, as for the tag team titles, a 2v2 elimination number 1 contenders match, as we see Wasted Potential versus Gangster Nation versus the California Dreams, and going to the pay-per-view to take on the Beach Boys will be Gangster Nation once again. They beat the Inner City Express on the previous pay-per-view, and now they have earned a number 1 contenders match to once again get a world title shot, or a tag title shot. Gangster Nation have been trying to make the year of Gangster Nation happen. It hasn't gone off great so far. It's already May, but maybe now they get the world tag team titles. Wasted Potential got eliminated first, then the California Dreams, and Gangster Nation clinched it. And they are confronted by their opponents at the pay-per-view, just a stare down between the Beach Boys and Gangster Nation. So we will see this match happen at Surf Slam. We then have a very clusterfuck sports entertainment style angle, as we have Frankie Boy and California Love Machine. They enter the ring, and they call out Aldis Blackfair. They put him over while they call him out. Frankie Boy is like, look, Aldis Blackfair, we are familiar with your work. We know your game. You are great. You are very good at what you do. You are the current IPW champion. However, you're not fucking us. You're not beating us. Nobody can step to Frankie Boy. Nobody can step to Cali. And Aldis Blackfair comes out and he says, yeah, you can watch me all you want, but you don't understand how much of a fucking threat I will be to your championship and to your life until you take me on at the pay-per-view. And these threes, their promo is interrupted by the Coastal Kings, Fox Mask and Mash Cougar, who call out Frankie Boy. They say essentially like, Frankie, dude, I don't know why you're focusing so hard on Aldis Blackfair and this COTT world title when you should be focusing on us. Because at the pay-per-view, Mash Cougar will get in that 4-way, he'll get his world title match, and he will get the world title back. So quit focusing on Aldis Blackfair while you should be focusing on us. But they are cut off by American Flash, who essentially says the only reason that they are even in here is because they're fucking cheaters, essentially. And then Frankie Perez comes out, and he says, like, he cuts through everybody. I just imagine Fox and Cougar and Flash, they're on the ramp while these three are in the ring. And Frankie Perez cuts through everybody. He's like, fuck these 3 guys. They're not cutting in line in front of me. He goes straight into the ring, and he gets right into Going Coastal's face, and he says, look, 2 months ago, you took my COTT world title, and you retained the Coastal Zone title. That shit ain't happening again. I've had time to reflect. I've had time to train, all right? When I win that 4-way, I'm going to beat you for that world title, and I'll go through anybody in my way, even if it's your little California lovemaking bitch over here. I'll plow through that fucking jobber, and then I'll embarrass you. And California Love Machine did not take too kindly to this slight, as he then socks Frankie Perez right in the face, causing an all-out brawl between the 4 men in the ring. Mash Cougar and Fox Mask then run in, full-on 6-man brawl. By the time the brawl dies down, Fox Mask and a couple others are out of the ring. Fox Mask looks to his side. He sees Mash Cougar, he sees Aldis Blackfair, and he sees Frankie Perez, and he says, you're not getting away with this tonight, Going Coastal. You fuckers aren't getting away with this. Main event, us 3 versus you 3. We'll get our fucking just desserts. And then they walk to the back. So 3v3. in the main event, as Frankie Perez is going to be teaming with the Coastal Kings in the main event. Weird pairing there. We then have the Promiscuous Pillagers, Hugh Dayask and Joanna Silver, getting a victory here in 11:58 against Thunderstruck when Amy St. James took the fall against Joanna Silver after getting hit with the Timber Shiverer. Hugh Dayask did great. Joanna Silver needs development, but she can cut a decent promo, so she's here. 56 for this match. And then who else but Heartbreaker comes out? He stalked her from afar on the last episode. I'm assuming Hugh and Joanna Silver did not know this, as it is not mentioned. That was just for us to see, I guess. And Heartbreaker comes out and he says, Joanna, I have not known you before last week, but I've seen you and I've seen your beauty. Your soul is pure. You're not like these other hooers here in CZCW. You're beautiful in your own way. And I know Hugh Dayask. I know who he is. I won't abandon you in New York like Hugh Dayask did. I won't make you come running for me. I'll come running for you. I'll be your Prince Charming. I can treat you so much better than Hugh. And Joanna Silver looks at him. He looks up and down. And she's just like, it's giving ick. It's giving small dick energy. Hugh, let's go before I get the creeps. And then they leave. And Heartbreaker is absolutely fucking devastated. I mean, absolutely devastated. He can't catch a break, this fucking creep. He can't catch a break. We then cut to the back where we see Johnny Perez talking to his brother. And Johnny's like, Frankie, what the fuck is it? Why are you teaming with the Coastal Kings? They're a bunch of fucking backstabbing, selfish assholes that are clearly only focused on themselves. Why are you going to lower yourself to team with them? And Frankie Perez looks right at his brother and he's like, Johnny, dude, I love you, but this is exactly why you're stuck in the mid-card. This is why you've never held a world title. I don't fucking care what their priorities are, because if it comes to me versus them, it's going to be me winning every single time. I'm doing whatever it takes to get a world title shot and match again. Until you can figure out why that I'm doing this, that's why you will stay in the mid-card. I love you, bro, but you need to fucking understand how this business works. 47 for that. Frankie just telling his brother he doesn't give a fuck, essentially. We then cut to Sean McFly's office, where Carlos Barrera is seen talking to him, and we hear him say, Sean, we all saw what I just did for that Extreme Championship. I brought that belt to new heights. I gave this company one of the greatest runs in that title's history. I am the future of this company, and we both know that. We both know that I deserve to be in that fatal four-way number one contenders match. I'm going to cash in my rematch clause early on an episode of Coast to Coast, get my Extreme title back, and then win the Coastal Zone title, but I need you to put me into that four-way. You know how much I can help this company. You know that I am what needs to... Fucking what am I saying? You know that I am what is needed in this company, so do what's best and put me in that match. And Sean McFly says, honestly, Carlos, I couldn't agree more. I do feel like you're ready to take that next step. I do feel like you're world championship material. However, I gotta narrow down an entire roster of some of the most talented wrestlers I've seen ever into just 4 guys. I want to put people in this match that are focused on the world title. So how about this, Carlos? I know you're ready to make that next step, but the key to becoming a world champion is making sacrifices. And the sacrifice you need to make, if you want in on this 4-way, I'll put you in. But you have to relinquish your rematch clause for the Extreme title. Do that right now, and you're in the 4-way. And Carlos stands back, and he doesn't say anything, and then the angle ends. We don't know what he says. We're left on a cliffhanger because we have to get back to the ring to see the Cold Blood Brothers, that's their official team name, versus El Jaguar and Luis Montero Jr. And even though El Jaguar and Luis Montero Jr. lost to Going Coastal on the last episode, they get the victory here in a 51 rated match. It goes 14 minutes and 23 seconds. El Jaguar gets the pin on Snapdragon Jr. El Jaguar did really well. The creative finish failed. Sucks, I guess. But Jaguar and Luis essentially cut a quick promo where they're like, look, we had a chance to show that we were we were a force to be reckoned with in the team division. We had a chance to do that and we failed. But that's not going to set us back. We're going to keep pushing on forward, and we'll keep getting wins to prove that we're tag title worthy or something. I don't know. But we cut backstage to the Q crew. What do the Q crew do best? Be a bunch of shitheads. And how do they do that this time? Well, they're just jumping Kira Lee and Sky Hermosa backstage. As we saw, Onslaught and Eureka LaBelle were the first 2 men eliminated in that 3-way tag team #1 contenders match. And Eureka and Onslaught and Zel Quinn, they're blaming the California Dreams. They're taking their anger out on the California Dreams. And they're just blaming them. They're the reason that they got eliminated. No one else's fault. So, yeah, they're going to pay. They're absolutely going to pay. I just realized I had not shown you guys what these stables look like. So here are the Coastal Kings. By the way, most likely, as of when you're seeing this video, these 2 logos will be added to the 64 GDS forums page. So I have that linked in that one video I made about 3 weeks ago. Both of these will probably be added the day you're watching this, if not a few hours later. So here are the Coastal Kings. Here are the Q crew. I've already showed the stream, but here you guys go. I realized I forgot to show you guys. So here's what these logos look like. The Q crew look goofy. That's because they are goofy. I like how it came out, though. We then have a weirdly shot angle, as we're not immediately in Sean McFly's office. However, we are cut to a camera with a cameraman rushing to Sean McFly's office as we hear muffled yelling from outside of the office, and the cameraman runs in to where we see Seth Whitehead and Sean McFly in a heated yelling match, where the first thing said on camera, we hear Sean McFly say, "What the fuck do you mean you're not putting me in that world title match?" And Sean McFly snaps back. He says, "You lost. You lost. Clean as a whistle. 1, 2, 3. You lost to Frankie Boy at the last pay-per-view. I have an entire roster of some of the greatest independent names in the world right now to narrow down. I'm not going to give it to a guy that just lost the title." And Seth Whitehead says, "That's fucking bullshit. You know I'm better than everybody else." And Sean McFly's like, "I don't, because you fucking lost. You're clearly not." And Seth Whitehead's like, "Fuck you then. Fine. How about this? I am going to earn my goddamn title match. If I have to move hell and earth to do it, I'm going to make somebody pay for you fucking up." And Sean McFly's like, "Do it. Show me then. Show me that you're worthy." That's essentially what the promo is. But it's time for the main event, 3v3, and we find out what Seth Whitehead was talking about, as the finish of this match sees Seth Whitehead running in to cost California Love Machine the match and the victory for the babyfaces. As the match goes 20 minutes and 21 seconds, when the COTT #1 contender Aldous Blackfrere submits California Love Machine with the Batwing after interference from Seth Whitehead. Really good main event. Frankie Boy got a fucking 90. Oh my god, what a legend. Not a bad performance in here. The lowest 2 performances were 64, so they're already perfect ratings. But yeah, great main event to end the show. The heels getting the victory, and Sean McFly coming out to announce the final 4 men in the #1 contenders match. He announces who will be in that match, and he says, "Look, there's a couple other things I'm going to address, but I don't have the time tonight." That main event did not go nearly as anyone expected it to, with outside people being marks for themselves and running in. However, I have a job to do, and that job is announcing the men that I am putting in this #1 contenders match. So, the 4 men going into this #1 contenders match will be Masked Cougar, American Flash, Frankie Perez, and Carlos Barrera. Carlos has done it. He relinquished his rematch clause for the Extreme title for a chance to win the world title. Carlos has relinquished the Extreme title, and Sean McFly says that since Carlos Barrera has relinquished the Extreme title, to open the next episode of Coast to Coast, we will have a 6-pack challenge to determine the newest #1 contender for the Extreme Championship. So it will be a 6-way between Fox Mask 2, Heartbreaker, Joanna Silver, Miguel Rivera, Snapdragon Jr., and Tony the Wonderful. One of these 6 men will go to the pay-per-view to take on Tigre Salvaje Jr. for the Extreme Championship. So 2 announcements to end the show. Sean McFly did not have enough time to address Seth Whitehead and his bullshit. But yeah, that's how we end the show. 64 rated segment. The overall show gets a 72. We're defying laws and physics to get past these fucking music production ratings. Those might be upgraded by the next episode. We made only $310. So who knows how much we're gonna make with these new production values we gotta pay for. Depending on how much money we made in pay-per-view revenue, maybe they will be upgraded fully for the next tapings, but I don't know. That's going to do it for this edition of the Push for Relevancy. I hope you all enjoyed. We got couple matches pre-booked for the pay-per-view. Aldous Blackfrere versus Frankie Boy will probably be really good. And, of course, the tag title match, the rematch between Gangster Nation and the Beach Boys. Beach Boys, one of the more, dominant teams here in Coastal Zone. Even though I don't really give them a lot of airtime, they just show up and then they win. It's kind of hard to beat that. Gangster Nation, though, looking for their first ever tag team title reign in CZCW history, so that's pre-booked for the pay-per-view. On the next episode of Coast to Coast, we will have kicking off the show, crowning a new #1 contender since Carlos Barrera decided to relinquish his rematch clause. We need a new contender for the Extreme title, and we will have Fox Mask 2, Heartbreaker, Joanna Silver, Miguel Rivera, Snapdragon Jr., and Tony the Wonderful in a 6-pack challenge to see who's going to take on Tigre at the pay-per-view. And then, of course, main eventing the pay-per-view, we will have that 4-way. 4 of our biggest names in CZCW history, a real test in history for us right now, as well as history, I guess. But this will be a real test for Carlos Barrera. See if he can hang, if he's ready for the main event, or if I'm pushing him too early. So, yeah, we got that to look forward to in the Build to Surf Slam. I hope you all enjoyed this edition of CZCW, and I hope you all come back for episode number 15, I think. I don't know.